When Russian forces entered his hometown of Vovchansk, Dmytro Chigrinov had just been released on bail, accused of kidnapping, extortion and grievous bodily harm. The Russians appointed him mayor. Today, Vovchansk is back in Ukrainian hands, and treason has been added to the list of charges against Chigrinov.
Может, и 6. На следующей неделе. Просто и хватило времени там.
Chigrinov's is one of around 40 cases connected with collaboration with the invaders, currently being heard in the Kievsky district court in Kharkiv. It's one of the least ambiguous.
Такі випадки співпраці саме з кримінальними елементами – це доволі...
Cases where the Russians worked with existing criminal elements are quite frequent, because these elements already had their own groups of supporters, ready to break the law, to torture, kill and rob.
Most of those the Russians employed to run occupied towns fled to Russia before the Ukrainian army arrived. But Chigrinov had fallen out with the Russians by then and tried to escape through Ukraine. He failed, but in Vovchansk, people aren't taking any chances. They prefer not to talk about him.
I don't know him. He's a bandit.
I don't pay attention to what those mafiosos get up to. Best to live a quiet life. The less you know, the better you sleep. What if they come and drag you from your home in the night?
Vovchansk's few remaining residents are largely dependent on humanitarian aid. Before the invasion, the town lived off cross-border trade with Russia, just 6 kilometers away. It was always more pro-Russian than most.
Thousands of residents of Vovchansk left for Russia together with the Russian troops. They just upped and left.
Tatiana Bondareva is a teacher from Vovchansk. She says the Russians soon realized they'd made a mistake by appointing Chigrinov.
They swiftly removed him from that post because he had no administrative abilities, which actually shows that they were trying to preserve some kind of order. They knew that would be enough to win the support of the population that was inclined to support them anyway.
After a meeting with colleagues in which she made clear she would not collaborate, Russian troops showed up at Tatiana's house.
My own colleagues sent armed terrorists to my house, who led me away at gunpoint right before my children's eyes. It makes me sad.
Tatiana managed to escape, but most teachers in Vovchansk stayed and collaborated.
They started teaching kids according to the Russian program, receiving Russian salaries. I think they should be punished. If they say that they had no choice, such arguments may be valid. But I think most of my colleagues did have options. And when I look at pictures of my former students killed in action, any doubts about my position disappear. They died protecting us, and that includes my colleagues, who at the moment were working for their killers.
But some say the desire to punish has gone too far.
Our prisons are full of teachers, local council secretaries, civil servants.
We're arriving in Izyum with Svetlana Sidko, a defense lawyer.
I usually hold my meetings in the car or in the street and try not to attract too much attention. Let's go to the other side, where it's empty.
In her car, Svetlana takes statements from colleagues of a teacher she's defending.
Sign here to confirm you read the text. That's it. Thank you so much. I hope we can settle this one out of court. But if it does go to court, you may be called in as a witness.
Residents of Izyum describe a toxic atmosphere since the liberation, as neighbors accuse each other of helping the Russians.
People are being labeled collaborators for reasons we don't understand, just for living, just because we tried to survive in that whole situation.
Izyum was occupied for 5 months and hundreds of civilians died.
It was very hard, very difficult. It's painful even to remember it.
Among those who've come to meet with Svetlana are the parents of a policeman who served the occupation authorities.
How can they claim he did it willingly after the Russians beat him?
He didn't kill anyone. He didn't steal.
The main thing he did was go after looters.
And for that, they've indicted him.
Where were our police? They came afterwards, took him, and for 10 days, we didn't know where he was.
That was on the 12th of September. Officially, the date of Vitaly Tkachenko's arrest was recorded as the 23rd of September. In April, his mother saw him for the first time in 7 months in court. He could face a 15-year sentence, not something he was expecting at all, he tells me.
I wasn't hiding, but walking down the street, the officers checked my documents and said, "Come with us." I said, "Fine, let's go."
Svetlana tries to get Vitaly released on bail.
The continued detention of my client violates his constitutional rights.
The request is refused. They always are in collaboration cases, which drag on for months as an unreformed, under-resourced justice system struggles to cope with an unprecedented situation.